like to introduce you to a project that Gita for the Masses is creating called Making Life a Living Victory. Making Life a Living Victory is going to be a transformative course of study which utilizes the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, except we're looking at it in a slightly different light, from a perspective of the Divine Mother Shakti energy. Several people have asked me why I'm endeavoring to create a new translation. And I would say I have a few key answers to that. One, to translate a scripture in a very powerful way, in a way that it hasn't been looked at before. One of the unique things about any scripture is that it's meant to serve the needs of the time and the people that are utilizing that scripture as a base of their faith. Life is very different in the Western world than what it's been in India. When we look at a scripture here, for it to be important and able to impact people's lives, people need to understand how to relate to it. What I learned from some pretty intense study, reading numerous different translations of the Bhagavad Gita, looking at the different translations, looking at the different perspectives, is that they're all extremely diverse and none of them say exactly the same thing. So I decided to take a look at why. With one of our other board members who is doing the direct Sanskrit translation, I decided to really dive into the scripture and take a look at what's going on here. What does the original Sanskrit say? How can it be applied to the Western world? And what I found was pretty shocking. I intuitively knew that the Gita had to be a scripture that had parts of the Divine Mother in it, even though it's always been translated solely from the standpoint of transcendental consciousness, because Bhagavad Gita translates to the Song of God. So when you're understanding God energy or consciousness energy, it has to be taken in its whole construct, meaning transcendent and immanent, which would relate to the Shakti and the Divine Mother Force. But none of the translations had anything in it dealing with that immanent Divine Mother energy. So I decided to take a look at it myself, and as I said, I was very surprised at what I found in the translation. After some deep contemplation and meditation on this, I realized that the scripture has typically been translated by swamis of renunciate castes. So the perspective that's being lent into the translation automatically falls along the lines of more of a transcendental lifestyle, or a lifestyle that was applicable to what life in India is, that has a lot of cultural conditioning born in with it. But when you look directly at the original Sanskrit, a lot of these societal constructs don't come into play. So the translation can be made in a way that lends itself to a very dynamic householder sort of life that we live in the West, where people are fully engaged in their work environment, fully engaged in family, societal needs, giving, anything that we would construe as a normal part of daily life. The scripture actually teaches you how to fully engage in it and do it in a very powerful manner. One of the things that we're lacking here in the West is a definitive set of core values that people live by. While not everyone is brought up in spiritual or religious traditions, many people are lacking an underlying sort of purpose or guiding force in their life. Basic character development strategies, empowerment strategies are not taught in our school system, and unfortunately, many people don't get this in their family life either. I feel, from the way that I understand Gita, that it's a very powerful scripture for establishing a core set of values as a way of character development for the individual, which focuses basically on inner discernment. It teaches you how to have critical thinking skills and how to analyze a situation to understand what's actually going on and moving beyond the veil of perception that we have. As an example to that, we can take any bit of information that we've learned at any given time and take a look at, well, why am I relating to this bit of information in this way? Was it because this was something I was taught as a child growing up? Is this something that I was taught in school? Or is this something that I have legitimately, of my own accord, believed to be true? So, in addition to the inner contemplative piece in this, there's also aspects of the scripture which teach people how to become fully empowered and dynamic in life. So it's a simultaneous process of learning how to discern, learning why it is that we have the different obstacles that we have in life, why we have specific belief structures, and also a step-by-step guide of showing how you build your own strengths and talents so that you can make the most dynamic impact in your own life and in the life of others. How you can go out and become a dynamic leader in society. How you can go out and make a change no matter what it is that you're doing. If you're just giving service to people, if you're volunteering, or just basically living your life and being a positive role model. These sorts of critical thinking skills are essential for learning how to really give in life and be a dynamic, contributing member of society. The uniqueness of this course is really twofold. One, it's that we're looking at the Bhagavad Gita in a way from the divine feminine Shakti energy towards empowerment and inner transformation. It hasn't been looked at in this way before, even though the scripture itself does have these aspects in it. So the commentary and the translation is going to focus heavily on this divine feminine piece. The other part of it is that the scripture is being used to teach people a practical way of life that can be approached by people of any religion, of any faith, or any belief system, because it in itself is not a religion or a spirituality. It's essentially a school of philosophy, again, to teach you how to think, how to discern, and how to build your positive strengths and your character so as to go out and make a difference in life. This is also what makes it unique, is that it's typically conceived as a scripture of the Hindu faith, but when it's looked at through this view of inner discernment, it just becomes powerful philosophy that people can use to make their lives better. Since the scripture is teaching you how to be fully dynamic and engaged in life, it teaches people how to become victorious in their everyday lives, how to overcome obstacles, and make life better for oneself and for other people. It teaches an integrated balance between spirituality and materialism that doesn't involve renouncing any aspect of life. It's teaching active engagement. It teaches both a path to go inward so that you know how to find your core self, however it is that you relate to yourself or God or whatever it is you conceive the higher consciousness to be. And it also teaches people how to be very successful in the material world, which is something that we actively need, especially here in the West, for people that want to make a difference and make the world a better place. This is not the time or the place in the West of being a cave yogi or a hermit. It's time to get out and be actively engaged in the world, making a difference. I'd like to talk about the importance of the scripture for interreligious dialogue and interfaith harmony. Every chapter of the Gita is unique. It focuses on a different form of philosophy with drastically different approaches. Like one chapter deals with inner contemplation, one deals with active dynamism in life, one deals with meditation, one deals with love and devotion, one deals with completely becoming established in the self and in one's own character. So just as in the process of life, how we're integrated, whole and complete beings, the Gita strings many diverse forms of philosophy together into one united approach towards growing in consciousness and overcoming obstacles in life. Because of this, it's a very, very powerful platform for both interreligious dialogue and interfaith harmony, because it's showing how different approaches are complementary to each other and how we can work together and how we can use these diverse approaches to make life better for everyone, regardless of what it is that someone believes. from the inner transformation piece, since Gita is dealing with both inner contemplative practices and using the intellect as a way to go in and dissolve obstacles and negativity in life, it's an inward-focused intellect which deals, again, with how you overcome obstacles, changing your perceptions as to how you perceive the world, how you've learned and integrated your lessons, and choosing to look at all the information we've gained in a different way. From the specific Shakti perspective of the scripture, some of the unique things in here that we'll be talking about heavily in the commentary is the different aspects of the Divine Mother, of the Shakti energy, and how it's working towards inner transformation, how it's working to change one's perception. The goddess, for example, the goddess Chinnamasta governs over one's perception of life. The goddess Kali governs over inner transformation and destruction of negativity, and she's also highly associated with the intellect, which we use the intellect as a way of inner transformation. So a lot of what we focus on in this translation and commentary is going to be talking about this philosophy from a Shakti perspective, which hasn't been done before. When I originally delved into the scripture, I was thinking it was a potent scripture focusing on the Maha-Kali force of energy for this inner contemplation and inner destruction of negativity. And the more that I dove into the scripture, I realized that everything is there. All these different aspects of the goddess in her myriad of forms. The way the translations talk about it, the way the original Sanskrit translates it, it's very easy to understand from a Shakti-based perspective, so that you can understand how to use the energy to be very empowered in life and to go out and make a difference both in your own growth, in your own inner transformation, and in your activity in life. I think one of the most important pieces to focus on is that this is a scripture for practical living. So when the philosophy is looked at from a Western perspective, it really does teach people how to be fully engaged in life, how to be fully dynamic in the course of relationship, how to manage family life, how to manage work life, how to manage all of these different pieces that we are, and let them work together to make us dynamic whole beings. I really see the Gita as a scripture of the spiritual heart, meaning that it's going to incorporate everything. Life itself incorporates everything. It's only our minds that tend to fractionate it and put things into boxes saying that, oh, this is good and this other thing is bad. But when we look at everything together and we learned how to be deeply integrated in our perspective, the way that you're able to engage yourself and others changes completely. And it also shows people how to work together and how to work together with these diverse aspects of yourself. Do you think there's anything else that I should add into any of this? The Making Life a Living Victory course itself is a 75-hour course. There will be about 25 to 30 hours of in-class interactive time with teachings and questions where we're really diving into the philosophy and learning how to use it practically in your everyday life. There will be about 50 hours or so of inner contemplation and work that you have to do on your own to deeply understand what it is that we're doing in the in-class time. So altogether, this course is beginning as a 75-hour course to better understand yourself and be able to engage fully in the process of your life and to make a difference in the world. If you have any further questions, you can feel free to contact me directly via the contact info on our website. You can send an email to gitaforthemasses@gmail.com, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.